All right, today we're going to take a look at what made this graph go from this, looking pretty nice, looking pretty smooth, pretty sharp, to this. And it's not so good. So recently on my end-to-end latency test sheets, what I did is added the versions of the firmware because I'm noticing it makes a difference. It's not like every incremental version necessarily means an improvement for some of these things. And you can see on the left here, the first sheet we showed was Ghost Beta 1.0.3.1. And also with that sheet, I was testing out TBS Tracer with the consistency boost of version 5.0.8. This was the sheet that I presented when I did the public video for everybody, where we showed the access data and the crossfire and all that good stuff. In that video, I alluded to some additional tests I did with ghosts. So let's get into a deeper look at those. And also I updated the tracer, as you can see over here on the right-hand side, where we're looking at beta 6.07 for tracer, and then ghost official release of 1.0.4.2. So it's important to note, the reason I didn't talk about this beta, because it was beta for Ghost, and it's kind of appropriate. I didn't make a public kind of video about the great results we were seeing there because they kind of vanished. The official release of 1.0.4.2, it's not as good. So before we dive into looking at the jitter stuff, because that's really where the bigger differences is, let's just take a look at your average end-to-end latency. They're a little bit worse. It varies, but you can see that the official release firmware that's current as of today, it's about an average of 1 more millisecond of latency. Not that you're going to be able to feel 1 millisecond end-to-end average, but you can see it went from 4 to 7 to 8 to 11 to 5, 9, 11, 13. And the 30 went to 40, and what do we have here for long range? Long range went from 105 to 109. So generally end-to-end latency went up, it didn't go down. Now looking at the end-to-end distribution plots, you can see how that breaks down. You got 3 to 4, this is actually up now 4 to 5, just like we have for Express LRS. So before, Ghost was in that beta beating out Express LRS right there for the 3 to 4 milliseconds end-to-end latency for their lowest packets. So they had, you can see right here, 3 to 4 and 4 to 5 for, out of the 500 packets, about half were one end-to-end latency and the half were the other. Now we jumped up a millisecond on each of these, and then obviously the average is why that jumped up for the 1 millisecond there. Again, end-to-end 1 millisecond plus or minus either way, I don't think really is that significant of a digit. But nevertheless, it goes to show it's not like we traded off one thing and got better for the other. The end-to-end latency got slightly worse. The distribution patterns are about the same, so you can see there. And of course, down in the video description, I'll have a link where you can download this chart and take a look at it in closer detail if you prefer. But distributions look about the same, just a little bit more latency to them. And again, you can see the long range here, the standard. That kind of all looks the same. Same thing for TBS Tracer. That it was just about the same as before, so that didn't really change. I don't think Tracer really had an adjustment in any stats between the older firmware release and now the latest firmware release. It's from 5.08 to the 6.07. It's just about the same. There's other stuff I'm sure baked in, but the numbers themselves are just about the same. Now this metric is kind of the bigger killer. It's back to the jitter in the signal is not looking that great. You can see how it was looking in beta is 1.0.3.1. It was looking pretty good, right? It was competitive with Express LRS, especially before I retested Express LRS on manufactured equipment versus DIY equipment. It was looking pretty good. Express LRS in that last video, got a lot better with the happy model. Kind of just goes to show that making equipment on assembly line is sometimes a good thing. And yeah, even then, it's still very competitive between the two. And that you can see is kind of replicated all the way up through when you look at Pure Race, Race 250, so on and so forth. If you go up to Race, up here, still looking pretty good. Had a little bit more jitter. So you can see the red there. That's down in here. Had a little bit more jitter, but still, in all, pretty good. Now, I can't say the same so much for how we're looking with the latest stable release. I don't know what happened, but the jitter's up. The end-to-end latency's up just a little bit. I would say it's about the same. I mean, 1 millisecond up is not really that much difference. It's just the jitter is back, and it's the same equipment. So it's like, well, you know, maybe you change, but I didn't change any equipment. So it's the same radio, same receiver, same antennas, same test board, same version of OpenTX. All that's the same. So the only thing that changes is what I flashed up to the latest release on the module, and then of course it pushed those releases out to the receivers as well. So that is it. Hope you found that interesting. I found it interesting that a new release kind of went the other direction. It goes to show that, you know, testing is warranted. I put this on Tony's radar. You know, time will tell if they, you know, figure out the way to fix that. I don't know really what's causing it or anything of that nature, but I hope they do, because Ghost, like I said before, is a pretty compelling choice with the ease of use and just, you know, with their agent to update and how it does automatic updates to the receivers just by pushing it straight across. And, you know, like I said before, that 1.0.3.1 release was looking pretty good on jitter, and then latency was looking really nice. It had the easy use. It was kind of all seeming to come together for a great package, and then it went sideways a little bit there. So I don't know what's going on. Again, I always appreciate your continued support. I am looking to kind of switch it up here. I've been doing this end-to-end latency stuff quite a bit. I'm going to be doing some comparisons with Flight 1 and doing some logging on that. That's kind of how I did with KISS and doing a dual FC. Also, I have a 3D printer that came in. I'm going to take a look at that. I have a background in CAD modeling and do that stuff kind of for work, so we'll see where that goes. It's not my main interest or hobby, but maybe I'll be able to make some parts that are useful to you guys and out in the community on Thingiverse. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one.